Hey guys, so I want to start out with silver futures. As you can see right here, this is the weekly chart. And then from right here, 2006 in sample data. The cycles are interesting on the weekly futures market, silver's futures market. So there's a 258 cycle. You can see some of the correlations. And what concerns me is that on the weekly, we're pointing down into 2023, somewhere around October, bottoms out. But the cycles are down. That's what concerns me on the weekly, on the silver futures market. The next one that comes out, jumps out at me with stronger spectrum will be the 86, which is this one. This one so far is pointing up, and it tops out somewhere around June of next year, 2022. You got an 86, you got 258, which is the bigger cycle, and then the dominant cycle, which fluctuates, it's 40. And you can see right now, it's pointing down. So I'm not going to make this too complicated. This is the low right here. Get this here. So the dominant cycle on the weekly is pointing down into next year. The big cycle is pointing down into 2023. Is a weekly cycle. And then the only one that's positive is the 86. That if it was for, if you want to call it a swing play or a scalp or whatever, it tops out on May, somewhere around 30th, or actually June, somewhere around May or June. It tops out. So if you take the 258 and the 86, this is what you get. So maybe a nice swing trade to the upside, and then the continuation. So that's on the weekly chart. I just want to let you know. Now we're going to go to the daily chart. Okay, so this is the daily chart. And the strongest cycle on the daily chart is the 218 cycle. You can see that right now, this week, October, we bottom out and it goes up all the way to February of 2022. The next strong one is the 168. And you can see that it bottomed out here and it projects higher to November of 2021, around the 27th. And then there is a dominant cycle that is bottoming out now, I believe this week, and it swings up to November. This one right here. You got the 218, you got the 168, which is this one. And also there is a 101, sorry. Kind of topped out. One is toppy and two are pointing up on the daily chart. If you get these three and merge them, this is what you kind of get. Take out the 101, and this is what you kind of get. These are the 218 and the 168. So it could be possible that maybe we could be doing a pop here, or, if you want to call it a swing trade. And maybe it starts turning over and it pushes lower. And the only reason I say that is because the weekly is still pointing down. But we're not going to continue going down all the way into 2022, 2023. It's going to fluctuate. So it could be possible that if you do a trend line here and we break above, maybe on the short term, it's going to retrace since we're like so oversold. As you can see, we've been consolidating, going back and back and forth. So I could kind of see, with the daily time frame, cycles pointing up on the 218, cycle pointing up on the 168, and this is the 101, which is kind of getting toppy here. And then with the dominant cycle now pointing up, I could probably see maybe price action on the silver moving higher, but on the mid time frame, which is the weekly, it's pointing down. So there's a conflict between the daily and the weekly. So I just wanted to point that out. If you're risky, if you want to do a swing trade, this could be in your favor. But once you start losing momentum, just be careful because it could turn over because the bigger time frame cycles are still negative. It would be nice to have the weekly and the daily pointing higher, and that'll give me more confidence that maybe things are turning around and going bullish or going to project even higher. So I went ahead and loaded up SLV, Silver ETF weekly chart, and it has the same theme in regards to the silver futures market. On the weekly chart, the one of the stronger cycle is the 257, and that's this one right here. And you can see that it's pointing down, and it bottoms out around 2024, the SLV ETF. So that's not good, longer time frame, kind of mid time frame to longer time frame. That's not good if the cycles now are pointing down. So if we get a pop, it may be short lived and then it pushes even lower or kind of goes sideways, but that remains to be seen. The next cycle, which is the dominant cycle on the weekly chart, is 86, and you can see that it's bottoming out here somewhere around November. So this one is interesting because the dominant cycle is right here, and this one kind of phases a little bit off, but they're pointing up. So you got two that are pointing up, and then you got the 257 pointing down. So if you put the 257 in the 86, you can see that maybe a little swing play could come in, but then somewhere around July of next year, it could kind of get toppy again, and then it pushes lower to finish this weekly cycle. So I wanted to just show you both on the futures and in the ETF that they have the same theme, which the weekly cycles are down. Okay, this right here is the SLV daily ETF. Right here, the dominant cycle is 36. As you can see it right here, it's about to get toppy right there. But the bigger cycle is a 340 on the daily. You can see that, interesting enough, it's pointing up while the weekly cycle is pointing down. So there could be a potential, possible upward thrust. And then it'll probably be short-lived if the weekly cycles are more, in charge compared to the daily. So this is the 340. You can see that it's pointing up. And it kind of just tops out somewhere around March 2022. And then the next one is the 185. As of this date, bottomed out here. So you take the 340, you take the 185, merge it with the 340, and this is kind of the projection line that you get. It kind of tops out here in January. Then you add the 36, which is the dominant cycle. It gets a little wiggly there, but this is the dominant cycle right here by itself. Kind of getting toppy in October. It's kind of a little more short term there, but if you put the 340 and the 185, I could see it potentially getting a nice pop or as a swing, trade to the upside. But then you got to be cautious on the weekly because the weeklies are, still pointing down. So it could be it could be a dead cat bounce and then potentially push lower. But for the short term, it could be a good trade, for a scalp or a swing trade to the upside. Looking at the silver's monthly chart, futures, silver futures monthly chart. You can see that it's still in buy signal mode. Looking at the weekly, but candles are showing weakness here, but kind of just sideways if you really look at it. And we just had a sell signal somewhere in September, that last week, and now got the nice flush, and now it wants to kind of regain this level. As long as it could hold that 23, it could probably be a good, nice little swing play. If we go to the daily, you can see that it hasn't gotten positive yet. $24 to get above there. And if you look at the technicals, daily is neutral, oscillators are still negative, moving averages are in the buy zone. In the weekly, moving averages are negative, so summary neutral, oscillators neutral. And in the monthly, you can see that it's in buy. So very mixed, and depending on where, time frame you're at. Like if the big picture, it's still, bullish with a nice, decent pullback. The weekly kind of mix. So summary is neutral with a little negative bias on the moving averages. And then on the daily, it's a little positive just because it's so oversold. Okay, looking at our simple glance, the right is the daily 3-month chart. And on the left, this is the weekly 1 year. As you can see, we are below the cloud, below the 200, 100. We're battling to stay above the 50, and we're above the 20. Value area low was 22.18. We made a low of 21.41. And linear regression channels are pointing lower, and we're probably about to hit resistance with the value area high. So on the daily, got a nice little move to the upside, and we at least get above 23.74. That remains to be seen. But if we're going to do a nice little swing play to the upside, I preferably would wait for a pullback and then ride it up to maybe test this level or maybe break out of the cloud. And on the weekly, you can see that we're in the cloud already. The future on the weekly is looking bearish. Linear regression channels are pointing low. Kind of stall right here in the midpoint. Value area low is 21.94. Point of control is 25.99. Smack in the middle, that's 50% right here. The value area high is 29.73. So this is the battle zone right here, and we need to hold here. We fail 21.93, then 20.82 will be your last leg of support. The negative side of this is that it's in the cloud. I've always said prices get volatile in the cloud. In regards to moving averages, you're below the 20, the 50, and you're kind of battling out the 100 right here. And you're above the 200. Volume has been positive for like the last, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. You just got a little MACD buy signal here. You had one right here. Nothing negative yet. Kind of a little weaker on the volume here, but very strong impulse. So we'll see where we're going to be at this week, but I will be cautious in regards to levels. You got to pick your spots to fight if you're going to go long or if you're going to go short. You just got to be wise. This right here is I call it the squeeze play chart. As you can see right here, this is the weekly, and we just got something positive was this week. I can see a target of 23.98, which is the Darby box right there, and all these moving averages on the weekly. And on the daily, like I said, you're fighting the 50, trying to hold it, and you're building a squeeze play now with the explosion in the direction up north or upward. So there's a squeeze play, building pressure going to the upside. And right here, this just turned positive. But you can see on the bigger time frame, which is the monthly, the pressure's to the downside. So if my theory is right and the weekly cycles are negative, I can see this, maybe stalls here because there's the SMA 20 right there around 23 and 40 and change. Or we may test this a resistance, which was support before 24, 27. So that all remains to be seen. Or it could go even to 26 and then turn around and continue going lower if the weekly cycles are in control. But the daily cycles are pointing up. So I could kind of see maybe a nice little retrace, but then we're going to hit some headwinds, and it all depends how far we're going to go and then turn. So you're going to see a lot of stuff up here, like the 50, the 20, this Darby's box, 23, 24, and this one right here. So a lot of resistance, key levels you need to watch for next week or for this week. This might be the last chart. I don't want to make this video too long. So this is the monthly chart of silver. And you can see that if we are going to hold, we should be holding around here. So this is going to be where we draw the line in the sand and see if we break that angle. I wanted to put a big picture pitchfork just to kind of see if the weekly cycle is going to push this lower, is obviously going to take out that angle and push even lower if the weekly cycle is in control. If for some reason it's a turning point here, which I haven't really worked on the other cycles, the other stuff I do, but this is just kind of the beginning stages of the analysis. I just want to see how silver reacts here. And now this is from the top end on the monthly chart. Adjusted at a 50% from that high to these points. I want to see if it's going to be strong. It's going to hold this, and it's going to try to test that angle right up there. So if we continue going higher and take out that angle, and obviously close above here on a monthly, then this is looking promising to retest that high. I'm just kind of looking at both sides, the bear and the bullish side. So this is the bullish side. If we go hold this on the big time frame, monthly, and this is on the bear side, if we could take out, backwards. This is the bull side. If we could hold this angle, this is the bullish. I want to see it continue, not going below this angle. Respecting it, holding it, maybe close it, but getting back in. This is what I want to see for a bullish price action. And now this one is if the weekly cycles are going to be in control, then I want to see it fail this angle right here, which is what the 25, 50, 75, 100. I want to see it close below and maybe push here. Then I can see then the angles, the weekly cycles are in control because they're confirming it with the Andrews pitchfork. This is on the bigger picture, monthly. This is from the latest swing points. This is where we're at right now. So if another thing is if the weekly cycles are in control, they will probably, push lower, and this would be an angle of support. So this chart right here is if we break down and we go all the way down here, this would be a greater buying opportunity. But that remains to be seen. But I just want to have all my technical probabilities in place so I can kind of see what price action does from here. This is the Fibonacci Extension. We at least want to get at least to the 61.8, which is at 26.63, if this is going to hold. But if it fails, this has to hold 21.42. If not, it could continue going lower and maybe test this level right here. Gann Speeds, same thing. At least get to 29 or at least a half point, 25.64. Right now it's stalled at 23.53. We need to hold this. If not, then it's going to get weaker. There's no patterns here. Just have that here. These are just targets to the upside. If it continues, there's a timing right here, which is what, October 24th. So we'll see if we get to at least 24.45. And this is, how can I say this? This is a linear regression line. And this is some psych. I don't know why this is off. Maybe need to push it over here. Yeah. So this is a mirror cycle. So I want to see how silver behaves here. This is what a daily. I want to see if maybe it's going to follow this mirror cycle. So I just have it there. The good thing is that the Gann swings are positive and the advanced Gann swing is positive. So that's good. You're above the regression line. And the Gann fan, you can see that this is the 1x2. This is the 1x1. We were battling this out and we failed and we just landed on the 1x2. So we'll like to see it hold here and grind higher. I don't think I've done a action reaction lines yet. That'll probably be next. I probably don't have time to do it. And this is daily from this swing high of August with these two pivots. I want to see if it's going to be bullish. I want to see it take out this angle. But if it's going to be bearish, then it won't. It'll struggle here. And those weekly cycles I've been telling you about that I'm concerned could potentially push it lower. But that all remains to be seen. I think that's it. I don't think I have any more. Yep, that's the same thing. So in conclusion, price is king. Whatever price is going to do, it's going to do. Everything else is secondary, and we all deal with probabilities. So I'm very mixed. What concerns me is the weekly cycle pointing down, and that in the short term, on the daily cycles, they're pointing up. So in my opinion, it'll be a great maybe scalping or swing trade until it starts getting weak and just get out. And if you're a bear, just wait till the swing to the upside plays out. And then once it turns, you could get in and then ride it down if the weekly cycles are going to be in play. Hopefully you like this video. I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on silver using double Gann price and time technical analysis.